All right, week 23. We got a small crew this week. Jeff's out doing some family things, wedding things, all sorts of things. But we still got some cool demos. So we're going to start off with Major Matt. Your turn.
Lieutenant Colonel was actually my last rank. But
Oh, here we
okay.
go. Whatever.
All right. So quick product update. This is on behalf of Pedro. Pedro couldn't make it to demo day today, so I'm going to share it for him. You might have seen that when you first log into, open up a project, you'll see sort of the activity of the sessions. Pedro wanted to make it a little bit more useful and more informative. So what we've done now is he went ahead and added some information about the averages of the runs by each day. So you can see, yesterday, what our average duration was for the run, average cost for the run, total cost across all those runs, how many, and it matches up with the charts now. And this is for all the agents, but you can actually click into a specific agent. So if you have a couple different agents, you can dive in just to those values for that one agent. So pretty cool little addition. Always nice to see people thinking about how to make the app more useful. Next up, so I demoed this last week, or maybe it was the week before, I don't even remember now. It was the Clay SDR agent. And when I demoed that agent the first time around, it was basically just sort of generating an email from a template. We've iterated on it like I said we would. And so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but if you want to watch, I did put out a video for this on the YouTube, or you can find it here in the repository in the README. But basically the new addition, we still got the email part, but we now have a fit analysis for prospects. So you can pass in a bunch of information about a company and information about what product it is that you're offering. And you can build out this prompt here, and it will determine whether or not that company is a good fit for your lead generation. And if they are a good fit, it'll go a step further. It's actually going to come up with some key focus points, some pain points that might be applicable to that prospect, et cetera. And so it'll generate all this analysis for you. And the great thing is, if you remember from my earlier demo, you had to pass a bunch of information into the email agent that kind of did a lot of this work. You manually had to do that. Now you just take the output of this analysis agent and you just dump it straight into the email agent with the contacts information, their specific information, and it will generate that whole email for you for that specific prospect, addressing their specific pain points that they might occur for them in whatever business it is that they're running. So pretty cool update. Like I said, I won't dive any further into it than that. The other thing I worked on the past couple of days is there's this really cool product that we found called Composio. And Composio is just a way of really quickly and easily integrating. I think they've got like 350 some odd tools. And this is a pain point with building agents that we hear a lot from people who are using Agentuity, which is so easy and quick to get agents up and running, and get the framework working, get the prompts working and everything else. But then when I'm done with that, I need to dump that data into Salesforce. And that is a huge pain in the butt to connect Salesforce and get the API keys and the connected apps and everything else. So we set out to try and find a solution that we liked, that we can maybe start recommending to people as an option, and Composio sort of fit that bill. So as you can see here, they've got, like I said, 350 plus integrations, all the big ones you would expect, for CRM alone, right? You've got Adio, Salesforce, Zendesk, Zoho, HubSpot, et cetera. So plenty of options, the majority of the market share, I would say. And if you click into one of these integrations, you can see all the different tools that they provide. And that's sort of how, they add value, is they have tooling around each of these integrations that you can just piggyback off of. So for Salesforce, you can create records, modify records, retrieve records, update records, et cetera. So pretty robust. And I'll walk you through real quick how simple it is to set up these integrations as well, right? So we're going to come here into Composio, and you just search for whatever it is you want to connect. So let's do, let's do Google Calendar. Okay. You click the setup and you click create integration. That's it. That's the entirety of the setup for the integration at that point. Sometimes like Salesforce will have a couple additional fields that you might have to pass. You know, if you have like your own hosted version of Salesforce, for instance, it'll ask you for like the URL of your Salesforce instance. But for most of these, it's like one click. So after you've created the integration, what you'll do is you'll have to come create connections for each of those integrations. And connections are basically like a specific user's authentication into that integration. So for instance, here, you know, I've gone and I've inside of the ADIO integration, I've added an account. And again, this is a really simple thing. Let's see if I can maybe find an example one. We'll do integrations. We'll go to like on a HubSpot, click add account. What you're going to pass in is you're going to pass in the user ID. This is the user ID that you keep track of, right? So whatever, you know, system it is you're using to connect your end users through the agent to the system, right? If you're just dealing with like your internal Salesforce, you can just keep it default. It's pretty easy. You would connect to this HubSpot and it's just going to pop open the OAuth for HubSpot, right? And it's going to save that connection with that authentication here inside of Composio. If we dive into the code now, I can show you how simple this is. We're going to pull in the Composio core, and then they have a bunch of different providers for quite a few frameworks. And so we're going to use the Vercel provider. And all we're going to do is we're going to instantiate a new instance of Composio. We're going to give it an API key, hook it up to this Vercel provider. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add or create the tools that we can use inside of our framework. And so in this case, again, user 12345, this is the user ID I was talking about a minute ago. If you want to support multiple people connecting this agent with their own accounts, this is where you would do that. Or you could just do default if you only have one you want to connect to for like your internal. And then what you can do is you can pass in the toolkits. So we're just going to give it all the tools for Salesforce at this point. And what we can do then is just as normal, say, you know, hey, you're a CRM agent, you're connecting to Salesforce, we provide you a bunch of tools, you're going to get a request from the user, figure out what to do. We're going to pass those tools in, and it'll go off and do its thing. So in this instance, you know, find the person with record ID, whatever this is, and return their full name, right? So when I run this, you'll see that there will be tool calls for Salesforce find record by ID, for instance, right? And you can see all those tools being run in the console. Then what I do, again, just to sort of demo this, is I'm going to make a new set of tools. And this one has the Google Sheets append value tool. And all it does, you know, it's a single tool, it's not a full toolkit, but this one tool just has the ability to append new rows to a spreadsheet. And so I'm going to say, great, I got John Doe back as the result. Now I want to put it in a spreadsheet somewhere. So in spreadsheet with this ID, find the sheet that has the name lead names and append a row, right? And as you can see, boom, there it is, popping it into the database. So it's that quick and easy to be able to add all these different connections to 300 plus tools. And we think it's pretty powerful. So we're going to start utilizing Composio in a lot more of our examples going forward, including eventually, after we sort of get a good baseline, the tool, the agent that is up next in demos, which is over to Nicholas.
Yeah, let me just share my screen quick. Okay. Yeah, so over the last 2 weeks or so, I've been working alongside Dylan, Joel, and Matt to create a CRM agent. So the thought behind this is that we use ADIO to track customer information, and we have data coming in from a lot of sources. So we have Clerk for Agentuity accounts, and then Stripe is transaction data, and SmartLead is to send out emails to potential customers. And we needed some way to track all of those here, and it would be too much to do manually. So we thought an agentic solution is to build an agent that takes in all the data we're getting from all these sources and then tracks them here. So Joel is out this week, but I talked through his agent first. He's working on the clerk integration, which is where people will sign up. So our basic structure of how we're doing these is we have this create agent function that will take in prompts and tools that the agent can use, and then it will call tools, and then a judge will judge them and execute them. So in here, you see we're getting different webhooks from clerks. So there's like organization created, user created, updates. So Joel he's tracking all these things coming in and then updating the data in ADIO that way. So when someone signs up, they'll have like some user ID, and then we'll put it in here, and then they'll create an organization. So companies will have some organizations within them that will track here. And that's kind of what the clerk agent does. And then what I've been working on is the smart lead integration. So we send out emails to potential customers, and then when they reply, we want to track them as leads. So here it's like there's a lead category updated or email reply. So when the lead category is updated, that happens when someone responds positively. We want to be aware of that so that we can, respond to them in a timely fashion. So I'll show you a quick example. So here you'll see that in people, shortly I'll add myself here, and you'll see that it'll populate here, and then it'll create a new deal in the lead category. So here's an example. This is in dev mode. We have an example webhook coming from Smart Lead, and here I put myself in. So when I run this, so this would be the Smart Lead agent receives this webhook from Smart Lead, and then it should in a minute. Yeah. So now you'll see this deal has been created. So, and it has me as an associated person. So that actually also created me here in ADIO with the lead sources Smart Lead. So this is useful because sometimes people will come into our system via Smart Lead as opposed to having an account already. So it added me, and then, but you'll see like Joel's agent would add my ID once I sign up for an Agentuity account. And then if I add, like, for example, if I add Dylan, so that would come in, and then he will be added alongside me as an associated person in the Agentuity deal. So yeah, you'll see he showed up here next to me. So that way, when multiple people from the same company are responding to emails, they'll all be kind of categorized together under this one company deal. And yeah, that is it for me. So now I'll pass to Dylan, who's been working on the Stripe integration.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Appreciate the feature. Yeah, so like Nick's been saying, we've all been kind of working on the CRM agent, and yeah, so this week the past 2 weeks I've kind of built and deployed an automated backend agent that deals using the OpenAI framework and then the Stripe webhooks to basically keep track of Agentuity's credit balances up to date with the ADIO CRM. And yeah, it's deployed to the Agentuity's cloud, and it links directly to the Stripe database. So basically kind of what it does is whenever a charge succeeded webhook comes in from Stripe, this agent kicks in and basically first verifies the Stripe webhook signature, extracts the customer ID, amount, and the timestamp from the payload. And then it fetches the company's org ID from the Stripe customer metadata. It then searches ADIO for the matching company via that org ID, and then increments the company's credits bought by the Stripe amount, and then also updates the current last credit purchase timestamp. And yeah, and you can see here, so like Nick was saying, we kind of have this general global shared agent like engine that basically reads the prompts, figure out which tools to call, and it will loop up to 10 times if needed, and then also logs the execution. And yeah, like we're using this kind of structure across all the different agents. And then with ADIO, this is basically the global helper for interacting with ADIO's API. So you can assert people, querying and updating company records, parsing the different org ID formats, and just basically managing all of the ADIO specific logic. And then within the actual agent folder, Stripe agent here, this basically is this folder helpers is responsible for handling the Stripe and ADIO integration. So it verifies the org ID from Stripe customers, finds the right ADIO company based on that org ID, and then updates the credit spot and last credit purchase. And then index, like most agents, this is the entry point for the Stripe agent that uses the create agent shared agent kind of structure, and then with a Stripe specific prompt of what it needs to do, and then also the tool list to update ADIO company data whenever any of the Stripe webhooks fire. And then we will have tools as well, which is obviously how it sounds. It kind of contains all the tools and parameters that the Stripe agent can use, and also maps those tools to their executor functions. And then lastly, we have the verification, which is simple, just kind of responsible for verifying the Stripe signing secret to ensure the webhooks are correct and real. And yeah, and still working out some kinks in it, but I can kind of show you how it might work in a specific instance here.
I'm excited to see the hundreds of lines of ADIO specific and Stripe specific code go away for 8 lines of code from Composio.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a lot more simple. But yeah, so one of the examples that I ran was just a test employee that worked for LVMH. Didn't really matter, but you can see here we basically ran it, and it updated the credit spot to $100, and then the last credit purchase was from today, July 11th, 2025. And then yeah, that org ID is kind of how we use it with connection to Stripe. And yeah, it's kind of how mine works a little bit. I'll hand it off to Rick.
It says org ID, and then there's org ID equals in the value.
Yeah, that's just a temporary thing. So
Okay.
it's basically, it'll be the org name and then the ID in case there are multiple organizations associated with a single company in the CRM.
Oh,
So for
that's
instance,
how you're going to handle it. I
yeah,
see.
because
Okay.
let's say Amazon signs up, they might have 5 different orgs within Agentuity. One's like Amazon Engineering, one's Amazon HR, or something like that. They might have different orgs, and so now we can store
Yeah.
each of those.
ADIO
IDs.
doesn't support an array as a field type.
Unfortunately, not.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Anyway, that's really cool. And that, by the way, that create agent, what is that? It's like a curry function. It's like agent curry. That's really cool. That's a cool idea. She called it that, actually, the curry agent. Super cool. I think Jason, you have a demo, right? Did you get that
I
working?
do. Yes.
All right. You're next.
All right. Cool. So if you saw the demo day last week, you saw that I demoed Prompt Library. And this is a quick one. I've been doing mostly back-end stuff, but I did put this together, and it's kind of a cool kind of demonstration of the way we're thinking about how this could work. So back to our old friend, the NBA historian. We can come down here and see we're actually going to now be able to execute the prompt inside of the console, which is a really good way to see just how your prompt is performing. And even cooler than that is you can select multiple models and kind of run them against each other at the same time. So you can see which models are, how much tokens they're taking up, how quickly they run, and ultimately, hopefully, how much they cost, right? So give you a good kind of baseline to test prompts against each other. Anybody have an NBA question?
Who's the best 3-point shooter of all time?
All right.
It
How
better
about
be.
who has the most?
No,
Steph-
who's the best?
It has to be Steph
its
Curry.
opinion.
We have-
It's got to be
Let
Steph
him
Curry.
say.
We have Agent Curry, and then we have Steph Curry.
Yeah, exactly. The theme. Who's the best 3-point shooter of all time? All right, so let's ask 4.0. Let's ask 4.0 Mini. So that's Claude, and let's ask Llama 3.1. All right, so if I run them all, they're not actually racing because they're running in serial, so that's something to fix, but they're always kind of execute and finish in this order. But let's see.
I'm
Steph
glad that they
Curry.
all agree. Yep.
Steph Curry, Steph Curry, Steph Curry. The tokens though are accurate, and it's kind of cool to see the differences between
That's
the
super
models.
cool.
So
Yeah.
yeah, kind of
Whoa,
a cool.
wait, look at that. Look at that. Look how fast Llama 3, 500 milliseconds.
Oh, so they're not. Maybe they're not in
Yeah,
serial.
because it's through Grok, right?
I know, it's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, so kind of a cool coming soon. The prompt library is not available yet, but we're working on it, and it's something that give you a little sneak peek to how we're thinking about it and some of the cool things we'll be able to do once it's out into the world.
Can't
So
wait.
that's really it for me. If there's no questions, and I will pass it back to Rick.
All right. Great week. Looks really, really good. Bunch of other stuff going on too, but we'll hopefully talk about that in the next week or so. So anyway, see you next week. Thanks, everybody.